It all begins when key cells start to ignore insulin. The glucose gates don't swing open on cue, and glucose molecules get stuck on the outside, and more of them arrive. And in a flash, sugar levels rise to dangerous, prompting a metabolic crisis. But with enough yelling and screaming and insulin reinforcements, the glucose eventually gets moved out of the circulation, and an uneasy peace returns until the next meal, and then it all begins again. But there is more to this story. Join us for this episode of Better Body Chemistry TV as we get insulin's take on the problem. Better Body Chemistry TV is brought to you by Dr. Sandy, a scientist turned gremlin buster, helping you battle sugar gremlins, heifer lumps, and other health horribles through better body chemistry. Remember, small things can make a big difference to your health. Now, removing sugar from the circulation is only half the insulin story. It is the story that gets the most attention because high sugar levels are toxic. But insulin is not just in charge of sugar. Officially, he's in charge of putting all the groceries away. All the groceries. This includes sugars, amino acids, and fats. Now, he does have to coordinate his activities with the liver. You see, the liver is in charge of feeding everyone when insulin is not around, and it's a very important job. The liver has to keep the brain supplied with sugar. If sugar supplies in the blood are low, the liver has to whip up a batch of sugar pronto in a process known as gluconeogenesis. It is quite literally a matter of life and death, since parts of the brain cannot use anything else, and a starving brain is life-ending. But two cooks spoil the broth. When insulin is supervising the putting away of the groceries, he doesn't want competition. He wants to be the exclusive provider. So he suggests to the liver to stop sugar production. Not forever, of course, but just long enough to get the groceries packed away safely. Worried that the liver will be bored, he encourages the liver to switch its attention to fat production. That is, lipogenesis increases. Now, this is pretty important since when there are lots of groceries, it's prudent to store them up for rainy days. SHREP. This is the sterile regulatory element binding protein 1C, is the little guy who carries out insulin's orders. In the fat production department, he kickstarts the fat production system, which involves arranging for several fat metabolizing enzymes to come online and get busy. Now, we're told the problem in insulin resistance is the cells ignore insulin. So we're expecting glucose production to continue and fat production to cease. But this is not what happens. Glucose production does continue, but so does fat production. It turns out SHREP is on his own agenda. Insulin resistance is selective, and this is what contributes to a lot of the metabolic mayhem. Instead of lipogenesis being something that happens in response to the arrival of a big supply of groceries, fat production is an ongoing process. One of the consequences of this continuous fat production is the liver becomes a fatty liver. What to do with all that fat? Now, grappling with a self-induced oversupply of fats, the liver makes a plan to distribute them. So fat levels or triglycerides in the blood rise along with cholesterol. You see, cholesterol is involved in fat transport. Oh dear. The fat cells do try hard to take up all that extra fat until they too fail. Insulin's dilemma. Cells are spoilt for choice. Now, if you're delivering food across the body, you don't want the liver stealing your thunder by waving juicy fatty acids to all the cells you're servicing. Insulin's grocery delivery program is thwarted. Back on the ground, cells become fussy, leading to insulin resistance. So why the disobedience? While researchers from South University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center think they know why, Schrepp is not actually ignoring insulin per se. He has another boss. Is this the real boogeyman in metabolic syndrome? Is insulin just the fall guy? Might be. mTOR is an important nutrient sensor. So if you want to get on top of insulin resistance, you've got to get on top of your nutrition. Download the free willpower report for tips and strategies that will help you get the willpower you need to trump sugar's power. So you begin the journey to better body chemistry and better health. Interested in discovering more ways to create better body chemistry or need a little help getting your body chemistry on track? Visit our website at www.betterbodychemistry.com. Browse our library or enroll in one of the courses or programs. The advice is simple to follow and based on real science, not hype. And know someone suffering from metabolic syndrome? Share this video with them so they understand. Lowering cholesterol begins with managing insulin resistance. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you catch future episodes of Better Body Chemistry TV. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Remember, small things can make a big difference to your health.